Technology Introverts, Managing Technology Introverts. I'm Tonya Hall, and joining me is Billie Sue Chafins, Vice President of Software Development at Hulu. Welcome, Billie Sue.
Thank you, Tonya. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Absolutely. Tell us about your background and how you arrived in the technology world.
Yeah, so right now I'm Vice President of Software Development at Hulu, where I lead a team of about 150 people who are developers, QA engineers, and TPMs who deliver our Hulu experience across all of our devices, and there are a lot of them. I'm also the site lead for our Seattle office, which is a tech office. And so it's really interesting to look at where I am today and try to imagine how I got here. It's pretty unexpected. So I am actually from rural Appalachia. I grew up in eastern Kentucky in a place called Turkey Creek. This is not big enough to qualify as a town. It is a holler, if you know what that means. So I grew up in a trailer park, legitimate coal miner's daughter in the flesh, and did not touch a computer until I was 16 years old. Where I grew up, all the guys became coal miners, and that's just what you did, and education was not a priority. But then my junior year in high school, we got a new math teacher from out of town. She was an outsider, but she taught us a basic programming course, and so I took that, and I was absolutely hooked and blown away. It combined so many things that I loved around, just puzzles and logic and math and being able to build something. And so I loved that class so much. And I was the first one in my family to go to college. I should say Turkey Creek is about 300 people, and I am related to about 200 of them. Not joking. And so I was the first one in that entire family to go off to college. So I enrolled at the University of Kentucky in computer science. Had no clue what I was signing up for. I remember sitting in my first class, which was Pascal, and the professor talking about piping our output to a file. And I so distinctly remember thinking, what is a file? I have no idea. I was in a classroom full of 200 people, 2 of which were women. And I was just thinking, what, I ended up getting a master's degree in computer science. I taught computer science for 3 years. And then Microsoft came to campus recruiting. And they recruited me and none of my students, which was quite interesting. And I moved across the country to Seattle and started working at Microsoft. I was there for 14 years, and now I've been at Hulu for 4.5 years. So it's been a really exciting and interesting journey that has helped fuel some of my passion around getting a more diverse workforce and really thinking about folks with very different backgrounds. We're at this amazing inflection point in my industry at Hulu, the streaming industry, with 33 million households having cut the cord. And so the opportunity is just phenomenal. For me personally, it's just as exciting that we're at this inflection point in the industry, that we're having these really open and active conversations around inclusion and diversity in tech. Specifically, women in tech is near and dear to my heart. And over the next 10 years, we know 1 million jobs are going to be created. And right now, women only occupy 25% of those. We need a much larger piece of that pie. And so that's why I really love having these types of conversations to talk about how can we create that change that we want to see. Definitely women need a seat at the table so that we can help further impact that change. But I'm very excited for this conversation with you today.
Well, thanks so much again. You're, in fact, a self-proclaimed introvert.
Yes.
And as you've led teams of managers and engineers, one of the questions you've had to answer is, how can introverts contribute effectively in technology careers? What do you find is the biggest hurdle that tech introverts have to conquer?
Yeah, I definitely am a self-proclaimed and proud introvert. It was really interesting. Very early in my career, it hit me for the first time to really understand the challenges I was going to face because of this. So I could tell you a story. Early in my career, I'm mid-20s, women on my team, the only woman on my team, in fact. And my manager and I were having a one-on-one, a conversation about how I could go off and influence this partner team to do something we wanted them to do, and they were opposed to it. And so I'm sitting and thinking of my usual things. What is my data? How can I solve this problem? How can I build consensus? And my manager, the advice that he gives me is, well, you just need to be more of a yeah. And so I was just like, whoa, okay, I'm going to ignore that and go do things my way. And so it was a really fascinating time for me because I was able to go off and build consensus with this team, get to a really great solution. But it was the first time in my career where I recognized, oh, there are other people who are like me who are really trying to find their voice and how to have influence without having to change who they are. And so the advice that I always give my team is you really don't have to change who you are at your core in order to find success. As an introvert, I am never going to be the loudest person in the room. I'm never going to be the one banging on the table to get everyone to listen to me. I am going to be me. I'm going to find success in my way, and I'm going to influence others to recognize that this is the way, different styles, introverts and extroverts. We're going to have all of them, and that's a good thing. And so there are pieces of advice that I give to folks on my team, introverts or extroverts, that I think really have helped me over the years. One of those is really be proactive in your communication. I want to come back to that one in a second, specifically being an introvert, how I view that one. Second, never apologize for having an opinion. And third, recognize that every single one of us has imposter syndrome, and find your ways of recognizing when it's sneaking up on you and how to keep it in check. So for me as an introvert, being proactive in my communication is really important because I need to influence and impact the direction of my team, the direction of the product. And as you probably know, a lot of software engineers are introverted as well. And so I need to coach my managers on how to coach their team members. And so I often tell them, really meet people where they are. If they are better at describing their ideas via writing, then have them write up a document or an email and send it ahead of the meeting. If they are better in one-on-one conversations than they are in a group setting, that's totally fine. Go out and have those one-on-one meetings and build allies before the conversation. And then when you're in the room, you can actually leverage those allies to help you get your point across. And so you're not changing who you are at your core. You're still the same person, and you're able to leverage the ways that you work best in order to influence the direction of the team and of the product. So those are my 3 pieces of advice for people.
As an introvert who holds a highly visible leadership role, how do you deal with the energy expenditure required to be on, if you will, all day?
I spend a lot of time cuddling with my dog after work. No, it's a great question because as an introvert, and I love that like being an introvert doesn't mean you're shy. It means the way you recharge, the way you process data, like it's different. And so for me as a leader, I do have to be on at work. The good thing is I take the time to build relationships with people on my team. And so it doesn't feel as much like work at that point as it is like I'm talking with people that I really enjoy, building products with. I really like these people. I get to know them a little bit. So that makes it feel less like work and less forced. And also, I've got to find my strategies for when I am feeling kind of, tired from it. So I know when I need to go for a walk. I know when I need to grab some fresh air. I know how to space my meetings throughout the day. Like I know one-on-ones are not going to be as draining as a larger presentation and conversation. And so I really get strategic in how I group things throughout my day. And then when I go home, I do cuddle with the dog quite a bit just to get my downtime.
Hey, I'm open to that strategy for sure. Is it possible for introverts to be good mentors?
Absolutely. I think mentoring is such an important topic for us to really focus on in tech overall. And specifically with introverts, I find that there's really amazing advice that we can offer. Stepping back for a moment, I really think mentorship and mentoring is really good for business. And the reason I say that is if you have really amazing teams, you're going to build really amazing products. And the way you get those really amazing teams is by nurturing the individuals on those teams. And so I think the way that we need to approach mentoring is really meeting people, again, where they are. What needs do they have? How do they want to progress? And if someone is coming to me and they want advice, and me as an introverted leader, I'm going to understand where we're going to be similar and where we're going to be different. We're going to bring different things to the table, and we can work together to figure out how to leverage what are their strengths that may be different from my own strengths. But I think absolutely, as an introverted person, mentorship is a really critical thing to focus on. Not only if you're the mentor or the mentee, either way, it's a really important thing to focus on.
How should a manager coach and guide an introverted team member who may be struggling? I mean, what's the best way to start that conversation?
Mm-hmm. For me, I find the start of this conversation often happens when I'm having conversations with the managers on my team. Sometimes I'll ask about a person, if they've been in their level for a very long time. Well, why are they getting promoted? Why are they getting, are they getting looked over? What's happening here? And so one thing I do as a leader is really force the managers on my team to double click on what it is. When they say, oh, this person needs to be louder, I'm like, well, what does that mean? You can't just go tell an introverted person, and especially a shy person, that they just need to be louder. That's like telling them they need to be taller. It just doesn't work. And so I really want them to focus on what is it that they need to see from that person. Are they saying they need to be louder because they're not influencing architectural direction? Are they saying they need to be louder because they know they have amazing opinions and they're just not getting out there? Are they saying they need to be louder because they just need to build relationships? Are they hard to work with? When you double click that next layer down, you're going to find a skill that you can actually focus on that has nothing to do with the personality type. Teaching someone how to influence architectural direction is very different than teaching them how, to build relationships. And so I start by leading my managers to really get more nuanced with the conversation, to understand what the person needs to grow in. And then when talking with that person, never make it about them personally or about their personality, but make it about the skill and the results that you feel like they will be able to attain if they work on growing that skill. And then it's not a personal attack. This is really about trying to help that person find their strategies to grow this skill so that they can have more influence.
Billie Sue Chafins, Vice President of Software Development at Hulu. Thank you so much for your time and your insight in this area. If somebody wants to connect with you, maybe they want to find out more about the kind of work that you do or get some advice, how can they do that?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn/Billie Sue, BILLIESUE. So please look me up there.
Sounds good. And you can find me and more of my interviews right here or at tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.